Hello, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, and welcome. It's Nurse Richard, the Wax Wizard. Thank you for joining me. Now, this patient's ear has appeared on the channel a fair few times. If you've ever seen any videos that might be, don't ask me which number they are, described as ear crater, hole in the ear canal, anything that involves something a bit odd and a bit unusual, then this will more than likely be this gentleman's ear, who comes to see me every 4 to 6 months, there or thereabouts. Does produce an awful lot. But yes, he's got a hole in his ear canal. And this is where I'm just digging that little bit out there from. It does become more obvious later. It is quite a significant one. There you go. So that's not supposed to be there. What is it? What's caused it? He has been, I found this a couple of years ago, 2-3 years ago, there or thereabouts, and sent him to ear, nose and throat. And the long and short of it was they were unduly concerned about it. They suspect it was more of an issue. He's quite an elderly chap. They suspected the issue it wasn't. We don't think it was a canal cholesteatoma. I think it was just had an issue with some blood flow there. I didn't get enough of it. The blood vessels weren't working very well, or were narrowed, reduced blood flow, because he has got a few other health conditions that makes his circulation not as good as it ordinarily would be. And so that area of the ear canal, at the base of all living tissues, they need blood to survive, because blood carries oxygen. Oxygen keeps everything alive. And if you don't get enough oxygen to any specific area, then it essentially dies. And that's what's happened here. There wasn't enough blood and oxygen getting to that particular area, so they just kind of crumbled and disintegrated away, is the long and short of it. So it's really important that he does get this cleared out every few months, which he knows and he comes to see me for, just to make sure that this thing, you don't get any infections in it, or it doesn't grow any bigger. It doesn't start infiltrating any other things around there. It doesn't sneak down even lower than it should be, or make that crater bigger.
That's perfect, right?
And as long as he does that, then it usually does. Then it will be absolutely fine.
Yeah.
So at some point it would have been exposed bone there. I don't think it is now. I think it is a very, very, very fine layer of skin there. And obviously it produces a lot of wax, so he needs to come and see me anyway, because he can't hear. He can't hear at all. He comes. I can always tell as well, because he comes in and he's talking a lot louder than he normally is. His other ear was actually more difficult than this. There's nothing wrong with that, but we have to keep doing it anyway, because it just produces the same amount. But he hasn't got a crater in that one, but it's a fair old crater in this one, as you can probably see. It's a really satisfying little peel away from it as well that you'll see shortly. So there we go, we can see his eardrum there. The rest of his ear canal is absolutely fine. It's hunky-dory. And so all I'm going to do now is just go down to the fine end and peel away these last few fragments, because it's important to peel away and like kind of freshen the edges of this thing up, just to make sure that any skin doesn't start burying down underneath those lips, the edge of it, the lip of it that you can see. And it always looks nice and spotless and clean. He does wear hearing aids as well, this gentleman. There you go, look at that peeling away. So yeah, very fine layer of skin on there. And like I said, I think there are some other really fine layers of skin on there. There's no way I'm going to interfere with them, because that's going to help to protect it to some degree. So we're just going to tidy up a little bit outside there. And then he's back to normal, feeling fresh as a daisy. There we go. Crater to all end all craters, that one, isn't it? It's a beauty. And it always looks the same. Never shrunk since I've seen it, every few months for a good number of years. It's never changed, which is good, which is why it's a good idea to keep an eye on things like this. But it's always been the same size. Never grown, never shrunk. And I've never seen it infected either, so clearly the treatment plan that we've got for him, which is just clearing it out every few months, is working and making sure it doesn't get any worse. quite dry as well here on the outside. He doesn't use oil. I haven't advised him to. I don't really want any oil getting in that. I don't think it would benefit it. Having some oil sitting in the bottom of that crater, getting a bit soggy and wet, that might be worth it, because it wouldn't be able to get out very well. So I wouldn't want things festering in there. I'm just trying to scrape away a few of these really dry flakes, because he does complain that it does get quite a bit itchy. So I'm going to use one of Neil's earwaxremoval there. It's quite good for this kind of stuff. It was extremely dried and caked on this though, so I don't think we can get all of it, but he was actually really enjoying this. I'm just remembering now. He was like, oh, that's a really satisfying scratch, that. He wanted me to carry on doing it.
Yeah, that's it.
But it's quite difficult to pick a lot of this stuff away. Get as much as I can, but you don't want to overdo it, because it might become uncomfortable at some point if you start pressing too hard, but you really are having to scrape it along there to try and get all this off. But we got a fair amount off. I've got a quick update. I know a lot of your regular followers keep asking how the family is and how my daughter is, since I shared that with she's been diagnosed with a couple of rare heart conditions. She's absolutely fine. Never been ill with any of this. The next thing is we're going to see the consultant, who is the top consultant in the country when it comes to these kind of issues. So we've got the right person. Don't worry about that. We're going to see him in 7 days from when I'm recording this. So when I'm not sure, that's not to do any specific tests or anything. It's just a chat about how it is and how things are going. So whether things will change after that, there'll be a plan to do more surgery or allow her to do more than she's already doing now, which is pretty much nothing, unfortunately. I'll probably know by the time this video gets released. So if that is the case, I'll maybe pin a comment down below if we've had an update on what's gone on at that appointment. Hoping for some for a plan, if nothing else. That's all we're after, just to find out what's going on and what the future looks like. Excuse me. Right, this is the gentleman's second year as well, and I think, did I start that with I did start that with a fine end and thought, oh, why are you doing that? Get a bigger one out. And yeah, for some reason I found this a bit trickier than it normally is. And now you can tell, because it's been pushed in, because of his hearing aid, you can see there's an indentation in it where it's been pushed in with his hearing aid. So it does make it a little bit impacted, a little bit squashed. And again, I could have used oil, but I think there's always a bit of a chronic inflammation in this ear. And I don't think adding moisture to it is actually going to help. So it might be a really moderate chronic otitis externa, nothing major, but there's always dry and flaky. Let's have a few dad jokes of the day. I found some really good ones as well. I don't normally look at these before I record these episodes, but I read through these and these were hilarious. Longer ones as well. Where are we? Right, here we go. I'll have some from our nurse joke book, and then I've got a new book that I've never read any from before. Right. Two mischievous, if you're wondering why I'm doing this, by the way, why not? Two mischievous grandmothers, mischievous, were sitting on a bench outside a nursing home. When a grandpa walked by, one of the grandmothers yelled, "We bet we can tell exactly how old you are." The old man said, "There's no way you can guess that, you old fools." And one of the grandmas said, "Sure we can. Just drop your pants and underpants and we'll tell you your exact age." The old guy was embarrassed, but keen to prove the ladies couldn't do it, so he promptly dropped his drawers. The grandmas asked him to turn around a couple of times, checked him out, and then they both piped up and said, "You're 82 years old." Standing with his pants down round his ankles, the old gent asked, "How in the world did you guess?" Laughing out loud, the two old ladies said, "Because we came to your birthday party yesterday." Sounds like something my grandma would have done. She was very mischievous. Right, and 2 from this one. I can't remember who bought me this book, but thank you. And it's called Selective Humour I've Taken from the Internet. Obviously abbreviated to something else. Right, a father and his son went into the grocery store where they happened upon the condom aisle. The son asked his father, why were there so many boxes of condoms? So the father explained, well, you see that 3-pack? That's for when you're in high school. You have 2 for Friday night and 1 for Saturday night. The son asked his father, what's the 6-pack for? Father replied, well, that's for when you're in college. You've got 2 for Friday night, 2 for Saturday night, 2 for Sunday morning. Then the boy asked what the 12-pack was for. Father said, well, that's for when you're married. 1 for January, 1 for February, 1 for March. Bit of peeling left to do on this one. I think we're almost done, but let's have one more quick one because I like this one. This one's the best of the lot. So a woman in her late 40s went to a plastic surgeon for a facelift. The doctor told her of a new procedure called the knob. The small knob is planted on the back of a woman's head and can be turned to tighten up the skin to produce the effect of a brand new facelift forever. Of course, the woman wanted the knob. 15 years later, she went back to the surgeon with 2 problems. All these years, everything has been working just fine. I just had to turn the knob on lots of occasions and I've loved the results. Tightens everything up. But now I've developed 2 annoying problems. First one is I've got these terrible bags under my eyes and the knob won't get rid of those. So the doctor looked at her and said, those aren't bags. Those are your breasts. She replied, well, I guess that explains the goatee. Think about it for a second. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that. Hope cheered you up a little bit. But for now, take care of yourselves and I'll see you soon. Ta-da.